For as long as I could remember, I felt a peculiar fascination with femininity. The graceful flow of a dress, the click-clack of heels on a wooden floor, the soft swish of long hair brushing against the back. These sensations always captured my attention. But growing up in a typical suburban household with my strict father and nurturing but traditional mother, these thoughts remained buried deep within me. It wasn't until my teenage years that I finally found the courage to explore these feelings. It started innocently enough. My older sister, Emily, was everything I wished I could be. Confident, beautiful, and effortlessly feminine, she seemed to glide through life with a grace I envied. She was also incredibly close to me, her younger brother, which made things all the more complicated. Little did she know that her wardrobe held a treasure trove of possibilities for me. One Saturday afternoon, when the house was empty, I found myself standing in front of her open closet. My heart raced as I carefully selected a dress, a soft pink one with delicate lace trimmings. I had seen Emily wear it to a family gathering once, and I couldn't help but imagine myself twirling in it, feeling the fabric against my skin. My hands trembled as I slipped out of my baggy jeans and t-shirt and into the dress. It fit snugly, but not uncomfortably so. The mirror reflected a version of myself that I had only ever dreamed of. I wasn't a boy anymore. In that moment, I was a girl who felt right in her skin for the first time. I spent the next few hours experimenting with Emily's makeup, trying on her shoes, and even brushing my hair into something resembling her usual style. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. The fear of being caught loomed over me, but the joy of finally expressing myself was too strong to ignore. As weeks turned into months, my secret escapades into Emily's closet became more frequent. Whenever I had the house to myself, I would seize the opportunity to transform into the girl I felt I truly was. I even began to understand the nuances of fashion and makeup, mimicking the styles I saw on social media. Each time, I was careful. I would meticulously return everything to its original place, making sure not to leave any trace of my activities. My parents were often busy, and Emily had her own life filled with school, friends, and extracurriculars, so I felt secure in my little routine. But there was always a part of me that wondered what it would be like to be open about this side of myself. What if I didn't have to hide? What if I could be that girl all the time? The idea was both tantalizing and terrifying. One day, I got too comfortable. It was a Friday evening, and I knew Emily was out with friends. My parents were away for the weekend, so I thought I had the house entirely to myself. After slipping into one of Emily's sundresses, a light blue one that brought out the color of my eyes, I decided to make myself some tea. I had gotten so used to my secret life that I didn't even think twice about venturing out of Emily's room. As I carefully poured the hot water into a teacup, I heard the front door creak open. Panic surged through me. I froze, hoping that maybe I had just imagined it, but then I heard Emily's voice calling out, "Hello? Anyone home?" My mind raced as I quickly, but quietly, darted back upstairs. The soft fabric of the dress fluttered behind me as I hurried to Emily's room. I fumbled with the zipper, desperately trying to get out of the dress and back into my regular clothes. I managed to shove the dress into the closet and just started to remove the makeup when I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. I barely had time to wipe off the lipstick and pull on my jeans before Emily appeared in the doorway. She looked at me with a curious expression, her eyes narrowing slightly. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure she could hear it. "Why do you look so flustered?" she asked, leaning against the doorframe. "I was just, organizing my room," I stammered, trying to keep my voice steady. Emily's gaze lingered on me for a moment longer, and I could feel my palms sweating. But then she shrugged and turned away. "Okay, weirdo. I'm going to take a shower." As soon as she left, I exhaled a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. That was too close. Much too close. I vowed to be more careful from then on, but the close call also left me with an unexpected feeling, a strange thrill that made me want to take more risks. Weeks passed without incident, but the idea of being caught had planted a seed in my mind. What if I didn't hide anymore? What if I told someone, specifically Emily? She was my sister, after all, and I liked to think that she would understand. But then, the fear of rejection gnawed at me, keeping me silent. One rainy afternoon, Emily and I were alone at home. We were in the living room, curled up on the couch, watching a movie. The sound of rain tapping against the windows filled the room as we laughed and joked like we always did. Out of nowhere, Emily turned to me with a mischievous grin. "You know, you've been acting kind of weird lately." I stiffened, my heart skipping a beat. "Weird? What do you mean?" She raised an eyebrow. "I don't know, just weird. You're always so jumpy, and sometimes I catch you staring at my clothes. Is there something you want to tell me?" Panic surged through me. This was it. The moment I had been dreading, and in some strange way, hoping for. I could feel my throat tighten, my palms slick with sweat. Well, I struggled to find the words, my mind racing. "It's just, I like your clothes." Emily blinked, clearly not expecting that response. "You like my clothes?" "Like, what do you mean?" I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my secret pressing down on me. "I mean, I like to wear them. When no one's home, I sometimes try on your dresses and makeup. It makes me feel like myself." There it was, out in the open. I had finally said it. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. For a long moment, Emily just stared at me, her expression unreadable. I braced myself for whatever was about to come, a scolding, anger, disgust. But then, to my surprise, her face softened. "Is that why you've been so jumpy lately?" she asked, her voice gentle. I nodded, unable to trust my voice. Emily sighed and then gave me a small smile. "You know, if you had just asked, I would have let you borrow my clothes." I'm not mad, just surprised. Tears welled up in my eyes, a mixture of relief and gratitude. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You're not mad?" "No," she said, reaching out to squeeze my hand. "I'm not mad. I'm just glad you told me. I had a feeling something was going on, but I didn't know what. Now it makes sense." After our conversation, Emily and I grew even closer. She became my confidant, the one person who knew my secret and accepted me for who I was. She even offered to help me with makeup tips and let me borrow her clothes whenever I wanted. For the first time in my life, I felt like I could truly be myself, at least when it was just the two of us at home. But the one person I still feared discovering my secret was our mother. Mom was kind and loving, but she held traditional views about gender roles and what it meant to be a man. I couldn't imagine how she would react if she found out that her son enjoyed wearing his sister's clothes. One evening, Emily and I were having one of our girl nights, while Mom was out at a book club meeting. Emily had done my makeup, and I was wearing one of her cute sundresses. We were in her room, chatting and laughing as we painted our nails. It was the most fun I had ever had, but deep down, I couldn't shake the nagging fear of being caught. As if on cue, we heard the sound of the front door opening. Mom was home early. Panic set in. I quickly jumped up, but in my haste, I knocked over the bottle of nail polish, spilling it on the carpet. "Oh no," Emily whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "Mom's going to kill us." I didn't have time to change back into my regular clothes or wipe off the makeup. I was stuck, fully dressed and made up, as Mom's footsteps approached the stairs. There was no escape this time. Emily and I exchanged a panicked glance, and she quickly grabbed a towel, trying to blot the nail polish stain. But it was too late. The door swung open, and Mom stood there, taking in the scene before her. Her eyes widened as she looked from me to Emily and back to me again. Her mouth opened and closed several times, but no words came out. The silence was deafening. Finally, she found her voice. What is going on here?" I felt like a deer caught in headlights. My heart pounded in my chest, and I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes. This was it, the moment I had feared for so long. But before I could say anything, Emily stepped forward, her voice calm and steady. "Mom, we were just having a fun night. You know, trying on clothes, doing makeup. It's no big deal." Mom's gaze shifted to me, her expression a mixture of confusion, concern, and something else I couldn't quite identify. "Is this true?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. I nodded, unable to meet her eyes. I like wearing Emily's clothes. It makes me feel like myself. The room was silent for what felt like an eternity. I braced myself for the worst, yelling, anger, disappointment. But instead, Mom just stood there, staring at me with that same unreadable expression. Finally, she let out a long sigh and walked over to the bed, sitting down heavily. I don't understand, she said softly. I don't understand any of this. Emily sat down next to her, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. Mom, it's okay. It's just clothes. It doesn't change who we are. Mom looked at me again, her eyes searching mine for something, an explanation, perhaps, or reassurance. I just want you to be happy, she said quietly. But I don't know what this means. I don't know either, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. I just know that it feels right. Another long silence followed. Then, to my surprise, Mom reached out and took my hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. I love you no matter what. But this is going to take some time for me to understand. In the days that followed, things were awkward between Mom and me. She was clearly struggling to come to terms with what she had seen, but she didn't push me away. Instead, she started asking questions, tentative, careful questions about how I felt, what this meant for me, and whether I wanted to talk to someone about it. It wasn't easy. There were moments when I could see the confusion and discomfort in her eyes, and I knew that this was as hard for her as it was for me. But through it all, Emily remained by my side, offering support and reassurance whenever I needed it. One day, Mom sat me down in the living room. Her expression was serious, but there was a softness to her eyes that gave me hope. I've been thinking a lot about what I saw the other night, she began, her voice steady but gentle. I still don't fully understand, but I want you to know that I love you. And if this is who you are, then I will do my best to support you. Tears welled up in my eyes as I listened to her words. This was more than I had ever dared to hope for. I nodded, unable to speak through the lump in my throat. Thank you. I finally managed to choke out. That means so much to me. Mom smiled, a small, tentative smile, but a smile nonetheless. We're a family, and we stick together, no matter what. I may not get it right all the time, but I'm going to try. Over time, things began to change in our household. Mom started to learn more about gender identity and crossdressing, asking me and Emily for resources and information. She even helped me find a therapist who specialized in gender issues, someone I could talk to about my feelings and experiences. Emily continued to be my biggest supporter, always there to lend me her clothes, give me makeup tips, and reassure me when I doubted myself. Our bond grew stronger than ever, and I felt a deep sense of gratitude for having such an amazing sister. As I navigated this journey of self-discovery, I also began to explore other aspects of my identity. I started attending support groups for people who identified as transgender or gender nonconforming, where I met others who had similar experiences. It was incredibly validating to know that I wasn't alone, that there were others who understood what I was going through. As time went on, I began to live more openly as the person I truly was. I still had moments of doubt and fear, but with the support of my family, especially Emily, I felt more confident in my identity. I started to wear more feminine clothing outside of the house, first just around the neighborhood, and then eventually to school. It wasn't always easy. There were people who didn't understand, who made hurtful comments or stared at me in a way that made me feel like I was an outsider. But there were also those who accepted me for who I was, who treated me with kindness and respect. Through it all, my relationship with my mom continued to evolve. She still had her moments of confusion and uncertainty, but she was always willing to learn and grow. We had difficult conversations, sometimes emotional ones, but each time, we came out stronger on the other side. One day, as we were sitting together in the kitchen, Mom turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "You know," she said, "I used to think that being a parent meant knowing all the answers. But I've realized that sometimes it's about learning alongside your child." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of love and appreciation for her. "Thank you, Mom, for everything." She reached out and took my hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "I'm proud of you for being true to yourself, even when it's hard." In that moment, I knew that I was going to be okay. I had my family, my friends, and my growing sense of self. The journey ahead might still be challenging, but I was no longer afraid. I was ready to face whatever came my way, knowing that I was loved and accepted for who I was. Years later, as I look back on that time in my life, I'm filled with a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for my sister, who stood by me from the very beginning, and for my mom, who, despite her initial confusion, chose love and acceptance over fear and judgment. I've since grown into the person I always knew I was. I live openly and proudly as a woman, embracing my femininity and my identity with confidence. My family is still my greatest source of support, and our bond is stronger than ever. The journey to self-discovery is never easy, but it's one that's worth taking. It's a journey that requires courage, honesty, and the willingness to be vulnerable. But in the end, it leads to a life of authenticity and fulfillment, a life where you can truly be yourself, surrounded by those who love you for who you are. And that, I've learned, is the greatest gift of all. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.